15-yard line. Ding dong.
That's a big hello.
Third down, Mayfield back, looks, lobs, Peoples-Jones open, caught it, inside the 30, down to the 25. Stevens brought him down at the 25-yard line, along with Anthony Averett. Play action fake, roll out right, throws right, it's caught, Landry's got it, and he dives for the pylon. Touchdown! Mayfield turns, and now he's going to keep it, he's going to throw it, Hooper's got it! Touchdown! He was wide open! And it's 16-0 Browns. Huntley takes the shotgun snap, back to pass. Looks, the ball got stripped away. In the air, the Browns fight for the ball, and it's picked up by Myles Garrett. He's going to score! Touchdown!
Rolling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. Touchdown.
Myles Garrett hit the ball. It bounded around, he picked it up, and then he ran the last 15 yards with it for a touchdown, and the Browns lead 23-3. Huntley takes the snap, back to pass, in the pocket, around the horn, and Clowney hit him! He got him all the way back at the 31-yard line! Jadeveon Clowney with a huge sack! Fourth down and 6 from the 45 of Baltimore. He's got the snap, back to pass, throws, caught, Bateman got it, and the Browns stop him! A big hit by Denzel Ward! Denzel Ward hit him right on the button at the 45, and the Browns get the ball back!
Game, set, match.
Smart, tough, accountable, resilient team. And we need that resiliency. We need it. That's what the NFL is, guys. It's never easy, okay? It never is, all right? It's hard. And when it's hard, what do we say when it's hard, Case? Good. It's hard. That's what we want, okay? Now, if we stick together, if we share in these wins, right, we got a chance, because this is a good football team in here, okay?
Here are your hosts, Beau Bishop and Nathan Zegura.
You guys are up.
Mortimer, we're back.
That's right. We are right back in the mix. Let's go.
What a couple of weeks in the AFC North, man, and it's culminating by what happened yesterday afternoon. You get the Pittsburgh loss to the Vikings on Thursday. You get our huge win at home in a must-win. It was nothing less than that, guys. A must-win game at home. You had to have it. If you didn't, the season is likely over. If not officially, certainly. If not technically, certainly would feel that way. And then you get the San Francisco 49ers beating the Cincinnati Bengals, and you wake up on a Monday to an AFC North that is jumbled, that you are sitting in second place of, and everything that you want to accomplish is in front of you. But none of that is possible if you do not take care of your business on Sunday. Were there some anxious moments? You bet. As Coach Stefanski said, it's never easy. They're tough, but a win is a win, and 7-6 feels pretty good on this Monday, my friend.
It feels great, and it started off with, I was thinking of my crazy prognostication that it was going to be, 47, 16 in this one. I was feeling pretty good. Right. 24 points in the first half, complimentary football, all three phases, playing well. And then, obviously, it got tight. And when the ball bounced off of Andy Janovich and they recovered the onside kick, and they have the most lethal kicking weapon in the history of the National Football League, and Justin Tucker, you said to yourself, oh, no. And then this defense that has carried us of late continued once again to do it. 2 takeaways on the day. They score a touchdown, and then they get the stop that you need on a 4th down when they go. Joe Woods brings the house, cover 0, forces the ball out quick. Denzel Ward comes up and makes the tackle, and the Browns win it. A much-needed win. You've gotten all the help you could possibly get over the last 2 weeks, and you're now in a position with the Raiders coming to town, who were just handed their lunch by the Kansas City Chiefs, to get to 8-6 and put yourself in a good position. Let's not forget, there's a very good chance that if you win this week, that you will be in first place in the AFC North with 3 games to go, staring at a home playoff game. In the face, controlling your own destiny. They have to play the Packers. We don't know the situation with Lamar Jackson. But for the Browns, that doesn't matter. They play the Raiders, and they've got to continue to find a way to win. And I thought we saw some good glimpses offensively. Baker was incredibly efficient for the majority of the game, especially in those big drives in the first half. In that short passing game, 19 of 22, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns on the short, quick passing game. And so I think we talked about that. Maybe get into some long handoffs this week. And I thought the Browns did that and executed that at a very, very high level, because on those kind of like those quick ones in the short area, quarterback rating well over 100 in this game for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare, what we saw a couple of weeks ago when these two teams played, that's the difference. Is that was the efficiency short, and you even hit a couple of shots down the field, which is something that didn't happen in the game at Baltimore. So that was the big difference. The one thing that remained the same was this defense, and I think that is where the spotlight ought to be shined, because this defense. Look, man, it's not often in this league, in a league where offense dominates, where you can say, we've got a fun defense to watch.
Yes.
But by God, we've got a fun defense. We wreak havoc around the edge. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is a heat-sinking missile who flies around. I saw Jadeveon Clowney's quote yesterday after the game. I've never seen anybody play linebacker the way he plays linebacker, the plays that he can make. Denzel Ward is playing himself into not only a Pro Bowl, but in consideration for All-Pro, the way that he's playing the cornerback position. The safeties are bringing it at a very high level. Joe Woods has all of his toys, and he's playing with them at an incredibly high efficiency, and that is what has allowed us to get to 7-6. That is what allows us to control our own destiny in the AFC North now with 4 weeks to play. It is that defense. It is a fun defense to watch. It is an attacking defense. It's an aggressive defense. It is one that ought to be feared. Myles Garrett is going to put himself in position to be Defensive Player of the Year. Everything that you hope this defense would be, it has become, and it is pure joy to watch on a given Sunday.
And you did that in a game in which you didn't have Greg Newsome, you didn't have Ronnie Harrison to play your dime package and the big nickel that you had wanted to play, and you didn't have your leading tackler, Anthony Walker Jr., and still the back end of this defense, Grant Delpit playing probably the biggest role that he has played all season, goes out there, leads your team with 11 tackles, gets the interception on the two-point conversion. You talk about, Troy Hill coming back, and it looks like we might not have him, but his ability in the run game was phenomenal. 3 tackles for losses from Troy Hill in this one. JOK, you mentioned Denzel Ward playing himself into a big contract, All-Pro, all the honors, being clutch when you need it. And then you think about, why did you bring Jadeveon Clowney here? To make plays like the one he made on the final drive, which that sack on second down to put him into 3rd and 20 was as big a play as you could hope for. It looked like Miles was going to get him, and then he came free and just creamed Huntley. And Takk McKinley forces a fumble, flying around in the ground game, putting pressure on. And I'll give it to Huntley. He made some incredible throws. The one down the sideline to Bateman was an absolute dime as he's getting speared by Takk McKinley in the pocket. So those guys flying around, that speed, JOK everywhere on the field, Delpit, as we talked about, John Johnson, that speed. This is a fun defense to watch, and it still, wasn't even quite at full strength. Hopefully we'll get Greg Newsome back this week. I think that would be key.
That's true.
It'd be big, right? You didn't have
Greg Newsome.
Ronnie and Awa. I mean, you did this without those 3, and then on offense, you did it obviously without Jack Conklin, which will deal for the year. You did it without Kareem Hunt basically for the entire majority of the game, and you did it without your leading receiver, David Njoku. And that's why these guys that have been brought in by this front office, Clowney, Takk on defense, and then you think on the offensive side of the ball, and of course JOK, Grant Delpit drafted, John Johnson brought here who had another great game. But on offense, when you brought in Austin Hooper, that was the first big move that was made. For this game, he has to go out and he's got to play the full load. He's got to be the guy for you, and he played every single snap on offense, 100%, 65 out of 65. He'd probably tell you, I'd like to do that more often, and he catches 5 of his 7 targets for 30 yards, the touchdown as well near the goal line, and it was great. It was great to see this team come through. Of course, did it need to be that close when you're up 24-6? You've knocked Lamar out. By the way, Lamar produced 1 first down on the first play of the game, 11 yards, Ollie Brown. After that, that was it. RD, 3-and-out machine, 3-and-out, 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 3-and-out. They played great.
Yes, they did. And they're a unit that's going to be, you're going to have to deal with down the stretch here when you play this team and potentially in the stretch run. And as you looked around the AFC, and I know we'll get into that a little bit later, this AFC is an anybody's there for the taking situation. Kansas City looks like they're coming a little bit, obviously, with an impressive win. The Chargers had a nice win yesterday. Buffalo showed a lot of heart with their comeback, and obviously we know what the Patriots are all about. But this thing is wide open there, and it's there for the taking. Before we get to the news of the day, I want to tell you about my friends at EOX Vantage. They have the local presence and the global footprint, trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. This is a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Ed Scheel. He's the Vice President of Skyward Specialty Insurance. He said, quote, "The tools we've designed with EOX Vantage are real business changers that open the door for us to all sorts of valuable opportunities and efficiencies. They help our team members stay on the same page while collaborating remotely, make it easy to communicate with customers, cut way down on manual data entry and the associated input errors, and cut hours off processes and response times. Operationally, it's a brand new ball game for us, and it can be for you too. I encourage you to learn more about EOX Vantage by visiting www.eoxvantage.com. And that gets us to where we are, and you mentioned some of these. Kareem Hunt, coach with this from earlier today, Kareem Hunt, Troy Hill, both affected with the injuries that they had. And see, they will be out of the game on Saturday against the Raiders. Harrison Bryant, Ronnie Harrison to be determined on that, and we do not have, as of now, an update on the COVID guys. So this is part of the NFL late season 2021, late season anytime, but it is affecting us in a pretty big way again this week.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that is, it's just life in the National Football League. And for the Browns, that's why I said I think getting Greg Newsome back would be huge. Getting Ronnie back for this game would be huge. Anthony Walker, and you could potentially be down, Troy Hill, Kareem. Unfortunately, we've had to deal with this in the past, and I'll tell you, the guy that every time he's had an opportunity to step in and step up, Dearness Johnson has just produced. I thought he played great in this game. I thought Dearness, every time he had the ball, looked excellent for the Browns, and so you've kind of got that comfort. He had 4 carries for 22 yards, 1 catch for 7, and had another first down on a third down play when Case Keenum had to come in for that one play that he picked up that came back on a holding penalty, I think on Wyatt in that one. You're still – that was the thing I was talking about on the radio yesterday from the sidelines, is the depth that has been put in place by Andrew Berry in assembling this roster, that you could be down 2 of your top 5 DBs and your back end still plays phenomenal football. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's
you
wild.
Think about where we were a year ago.
Oh, night and day. You were starting special teams guys in the secondary because you just didn't have enough guys. And so, now you hope to get Newsome back. If not, you still have MJ Stewart, who played well, I thought, yesterday, both on special teams and when he had to come in late in the game there. Your line played well. I thought James Hudson comes in, 35 pass blocking snaps, only 2 pressures, no sacks, no quarterback hits allowed. The Browns did not allow a sack or a quarterback hit in this game against the
Hudson
Baltimore
was
Ravens.
A revelation.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? You and I remember him working, all the way back in minicamp. He got a one-on-one offensive tackle fantasy camp with Bill Callahan, and now you think about what he was the last time we saw him in games that mattered, and frankly seemed a little lost.
Yes.
And compared to what he did yesterday, and someone you could lean upon, that's remarkable coaching and dedication from the player. Right.
He got coached hard and he worked hard and was able to get out there. And it just felt like, and again, it didn't sustain itself for the game. And I think that, we'll look back after the Austin Hooper touchdown, which was culminated a 10-play, 77-yard drive, 6 first downs on that series. You had 12 yards, 16 yards, and then you were able to get down. You missed field goal, but then 3 for 6, 3 for 3. So after that, the offense did go stagnant. But those 2 drives, the 8 for 66 was the touchdown to Jarvis, the 10 for 77, and the touchdown to Austin Hooper. Those 2 drives were a glimpse of what we can be offensively. And if we can just kind of sustain that a little bit more, that's where you get excited, because you think about the complimentary football that we saw at times. Dustin Colquitt drops him back down at the 9. Should have had one if it weren't for a penalty down at the 1.
Should have had one right at the 1.
Right at the 1-yard line, but goes down to the 9. That's the possession that Miles gets the first sack strip fumble of the season, which is crazy for how many sacks we've had, that we recover and take into the house for the touchdown. So that was, offense, defense, special teams, all working in collaboration, and that's what you needed to see. I mean, you would have loved to run away with this one, but at the same time, I feel that there was something to be gained from coming through at the end of a game that felt like was going to get away from you. And Jeff Howard, the DB coach, and I know Joe Woods and a lot of those guys on D, when that onside kick was recovered, stand up right now and get this done. And as Clowney said, look, I had no doubt because I knew what we could do defensively, but that's why he was brought here for a moment like that. That may be one of the defining plays of the season, that sack, and then Denzel stopped the play after. You can't ask for anything more than that from your defense in that situation. Because, look, Justin Tucker, if they lined up at their own 20 and he was kicking it, I'd still be nervous.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Even if it was beyond human power, I would still be nervous.
Even if it was a 90-yarder, it would still somehow split the uprights. Yeah. I think you will. I think it's fair to say, and I think it's probably a point of concern might be strong, but a point of annoyance because if at any point you get a first down on one of those fourth quarter drives, the game's likely over, and you don't have to put yourself in those positions, and that's something we're still sorting through offensively. We're down a lot of guys, and that's part of it. But when you go get a first down and the game's over, and you're not able to do so. When it comes time, and this is the difference, folks, and I think it just depends on how you want to view your football team. But we viewed this football team at the beginning of the year as a Super Bowl contender, and that's how Super Bowl contenders are judged. They're judged that way. If you want to be judged, and this organization doesn't want this, if you want to be judged as look at us, we're really good, we're 500, that's not what this is about. This is about building a Super Bowl contender. It's a roster that feels like it's close to being that, and that's what Super Bowl contenders go do, right? And so right now, that's the separation. Is when you need a first down in the fourth quarter to ice a game, we didn't have an ability to do it. It doesn't take the sweetness off the win. God, no, you love a victory Monday. You don't care what it comes from. You look around this league. Look what happened yesterday in this league. Look what's happened the last month in this league. You take wins any way you can get it. But you're critical of yourself, too, and constructively critical. And you say, okay, what do we need to do to make these a little easier than easier than it was? And that's simply getting a couple first downs. That's all it is.
Yeah. Or a couple more points. We scored
points too.
17 offensively in the first half, obviously 24 total because of the defensive touchdown. But just get a few more points. I mean, I don't think there was anybody in the building, and the Ravens are such a well-coached team, and that they kept their belief. And by the way, I was very impressed by Tyler Huntley. I mean, very impressed. He threw some dimes. He was elusive in the pocket and in the open field. I mean, an undrafted guy who's kind of a Lamar clone is kind of remarkable that they were able to just bring him into the mix, that nobody else said, hey, let's kick the tires on this kid and see what we can get. I was very impressed with him. But, we had I don't think anybody in the building at 24-6 at the half thought we were going to be in a, oh, my God, is this really going to happen situation at the end of that game. We were, but it doesn't matter. We won, and that win's the same as if we beat them 47-16. Doesn't matter. But you tip your cap to them, and they were smart. So much has been made over them going for two. It's absolutely.
I just think people don't understand math and football.
And
if
the fact that you need to know what you need to do.
You have to know. Yes. You have to know what you need to know.
Right.
It totally changes everything.
There's no reason to delay the access, acquiring of the information. You need to know. It's not like because they didn't get the two, all people say, you need to keep them engaged. It's a one-possession game. No, they were quite engaged. But they knew now there was a sense of urgency they needed two scores. And I think that's and you saw the way that they played, and they were able to do that. They're a good football team, and they played hard, even without a lot of their horses. And we played hard as well. And I thought that there were glimpses into the offensive efficiency that we have been hoping to see, where it just felt like it was a nice rhythm. And Baker was getting it out quick, on time, and it reminded of the early season. Now he said he's feeling the best that he's felt since week 2.
Right.
And that was a good quarterback performance. They had the one throw that got away against Jarvis or whatever happened there on that one. But for the most part, it was good. We just need to be able to extend that. Because you go to that fourth quarter where you talk about getting a first down. One time they tried to throw it 3 times in a row. Quick to Chubb, quick to Janovich, and then missed Jarvis due to some pressure. And then the second time, Chubb, run, and then you get it down to Donovan Peoples-Jones short of the sticks and end up punting it down there. You got to be able to take some time off the clock there and continue to move the ball. Because in the first half, like I said, we had those 2 long drives. We had 3 drives on the day of more than 50 yards that consumed a lot of clock. And the defense was just getting 8 of their 13 possessions, the Ravens, 8 of 13 were 4 plays or less.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that is.
And that's wild.
Yeah, it is. Please purchase the Browns Bundle now. Participating Buffalo Wild Wings locations, the purchase of a Browns Bundle, fans get a limited edition collectible Cleveland Browns glass. The $14.99 Browns Bundle includes a 6-piece boneless wing, fries, and Browns glass. This season collection honors the Browns' 75th anniversary. 3 unique designs: the 75th anniversary logo, the throwback brownie, and the 1946 patch logo. A couple of their highlights from the game on Sunday. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a dude who can just flat out catch the ball when it's thrown his way. He had another big one. And then you were called on JoJo Natson in the return game. The wind must have been crazy in the first half down there. Is that accurate? Was it just
pretty
crazy
the majority of the game, and it was really whipping. Okay. So the flag, if you looked at the flag on the southwest end zone, the huge flag would have been blowing straight in viciously from that side towards the dog pound. So if you only looked at that flag, you'd say to yourself, the wind is going towards the dog pound. But it would come and it swirled around and then was like a jet stream back the other way. Like,
wow.
Really blowing and whipping. And, yes, it was tough. But, look, JoJo Natson, I remember, the Sunday night football game when he was a member of the Rams, and we played them week 3, I want to say, or 4 of 2019. Week 3, I think it was. He spent half of his press conference talking about how much respect he had for JoJo Natson, and he was the punt and kick returner and how dangerous he was. And I thought he did a very good job back there. And so, he's a guy that maybe could end up getting in that mix. You mentioned DPJ. That catch he made on the sideline was right in front of me.
Jeez.
5 catches for 90 yards on 7 targets. Again, get this guy the football, 18 yards a catch. This was a game where I said, show up. Chris Westry, 6'4", tall guy, but change of direction was difficult for him. Get him the ball. In fact, we averaged 8.6 yards of completion. Goes back to that quick passing game. Donovan averaged 18. Nobody else on the team averaged even 9 yards a catch. He averaged 18. So he is our big play guy, and he does
He's
it.
the guy.
He does it. He's not always going to blow by you, although we've seen him do that for walk-in touchdowns both seasons in the league. But he's a guy that you can put it up to him and just give him an opportunity. The body control, the concentration, that ball was right into the sun, too. He was looking right in the sun. To get his feet in was staggering. I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
It was Next Gen Stats said it was a 16% chance of him catching that ball, which was the second lowest of any reception all week.
Jeez. Yeah. No, you just love everything you see. When you give him the opportunity to make big play. You mentioned Delpit earlier. He had the big interception on the 2-point try. The most extended and most he's been relied upon. I thought he was great in the game and was just a part of that really, really strong defensive effort. And then Dustin Colquitt, my goodness, right off the street, come on in, buddy. Another Cole just burying coffin corner kick after coffin corner kick. And the one, you could tell he was disappointed. I mean, went right off the face mask. That would have been down at the 1.
Right at the 1. Yeah, he brought, again, steady there, and we'll see, if the hammer is able to come back, how that sorts itself out. But, yeah, just in terms of putting it down inside the 20, very, very steady from him on that. And it was a veteran, and it was a guy that, they had familiarity with. I got a chance to talk to him a little bit on the sidelines. Just glorious, basking in the glow of the Cole brothers. But I thought that we did do a lot of stuff, and for that first half, that was some of the better complementary football that we've played in a while. We had, the defense making a play that leads to a touchdown. We had the one misstep on offense, the interception, but then the D forces them 3 and out and limits them to a field goal even though they start in our territory. That's what you have to do in those situations. And the offense had, like I said, its couple of touchdown drives, got the field goal as well from Chase McLaughlin, and so that was a great half. You score 17 as an offense, 17 as a D. You have some special teams plays that are excellent in there as well. Our kick coverage remains elite, and you felt really, really good about it. Now, again, there were some things that need to be cleaned up on the onside. Boy, and that's where you miss a guy like Stiff Arm Steve. Remember last year Stiff Arm Steve was all about the onside kick recovery. So still things to clean up, but boy, it's nice to clean them up after a win, and a win that has catapulted you very much in the thick of things, so that you don't have to say, well, if we had done this, if we had done that, which you can say about at least 3 or 4 games prior. You have the chance. You win next week. It's a high probability that you will be in first place in the AFC North with 3 to go, which is all you could have ever asked for at the start of the season. Doesn't matter what it looks like. That's where you want to be.
Yep. That's what's in front of you. And it's in front of you because of what you did. It's in front of you because you got everything that you needed from everybody else. And that's why Victory Monday tastes so sweet. It tastes even sweeter with Tito's Vodka. With the win, Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud to support the Cleveland Browns through the Tito's Victory Vodka program. $1,000 donation to Wags for Warriors, helping provide service dogs for veterans at no cost to the veteran. That's awesome. Thank you, Tito's, and remember to please enjoy Tito's Handmade Vodka responsibly. Sponsored by Tito's Handmade Vodka. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, 40% alcohol by volume, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, and crafted to be savored responsibly. The Joe Thomas Hour, Cleveland Browns Daily, coming up in about a half hour from now. We're off and running. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Right now, get Northeast Factory Direct furniture to your home. It's in stock. You can go there right now, get exactly what you're looking for. They don't all the gimmicky sales that the other places have to trick you into buying other furniture. They have the same low prices on the high-quality furniture that you want and that you need. Northeast Factory Direct has you covered. Sofas, dining rooms, tables, mattresses, game room equipment, hot tubs, even kitchen cabinets. All the same furniture and the brands you see at the other stores, but for a whole lot less. Here's the only way they're like the other stores. You're going to be buying a brand new piece of furniture. It's going to be delivered right to your home. I encourage you to check them out. West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, or Freeway Drive in Macedonia, or shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. And now here's your head coach, Kevin Stefanski, at the podium.
On the injury front, Kareem,
8 minutes.
ankle, and Troy with the knee, they're week to week, and they're unlikely to make it this week on the short week with the game on Saturday. Other guys, Anthony Schwartz, Greg Newsom remain in the concussion protocol. Ronnie Harrison with that ankle injury, worked him out pregame, just didn't feel like he could go. So we'll see how that progresses. And really same thing with Harrison Bryant, getting better. We'll see how he progresses throughout the week. On the game yesterday, obviously great to come away with a win versus a division opponent, a really good football team. Obviously late in the game, you don't want it to go to an onside kick and them getting the ball. But I thought the defense made a great stop there to end the game. So a lot of good stuff to build off of, and then got to really turn the page quickly because we got another AFC opponent at our place with the Raiders coming in on Saturday. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Following the game yesterday, Kevin, Baker lamented that you guys couldn't put them away, and he thought you guys were maybe a little too conservative. In looking at the game film, were you as aggressive as you wanted or needed to be in the second half?
I also lamented that we didn't put the game away. I think miss a field goal to go up 27-9, really on that 3rd and 10, would have loved to have converted there and get 7 off of that drive. So, that was a long fourth quarter drive, and we need to do more of that. It's certainly something that we talk about internally, where we can be better offense, defense, special teams to put those games away, and that's what we need to do. Good news is we put it away, got that win, and now that's got to be our focus moving forward in these games. They're all going to be close, a bunch of really good football teams, and starting with the Raiders, we got to make sure that we're at our best.
Kevin, when you balance that conservatism and aggressiveness, however you want to phrase it, has it been a challenge for you to find the right balance given the many variables you've had, injuries, Baker's health, situational, et cetera?
Yeah, I think that's our job, Tom. That there are variables in these games. Certainly yesterday, you're in the fourth quarter, you're up 2 scores. Our defense, had gotten some big stops. So you try and be mindful of being, still trying to be explosive on offense. Don't take anybody out of the game per se. And then we just ultimately didn't stay on the field. Those, following a long fourth quarter drive, we had 2 3-and-outs. And then obviously with the defense, fighting versus a tough attack there with their quarterback. Ultimately, we just got to make sure we do what it takes to win. But I do agree that we'd love to put that away sooner.
Hey, Coach, when you look, how good was it to have your top 3 edge rushers really make game-changing plays, with the strip sacks, McKinley and Garrett, and then a Clowney big sack late?
Yeah, I thought all 3 of those guys, Fred, were outstanding. Miles, as you guys know, that was a pretty impressive play by 95 there. And then just Clowney and Tack. Those guys, all 3 of them in particular, played so hard, just constantly rushing. And that quarterback was not easy to get on the ground, so they were tired. But with those guys playing relentless, playing physical, playing fast, you have a chance.
Hey, Kevin, how did James Hudson do for you yesterday?
Yeah, I thought he had some nice moments, Scott. He plays really, really hard, plays with enthusiasm. He's athletic, on the move a few times. And then, like anything, he's a rookie, so he's going to have some plays that we certainly want to get back and explain the technique a little bit better, those type of things. So a couple plays like that, but by and large, he played really hard.
And following up on what Fred asked you about the DNs, Jadeveon, it seems like his best 2 games were the last 2 against Baltimore. Do you really see him coming on strong here?
I do, and I think with JD, he's feeling good from a health standpoint. He plays really hard. He throws his body around, plays physical in the run game. Obviously, in the pass game, applying pressure, and nothing bigger than that second to last play there, or third to last play, I guess, getting a sack there in a big moment.
We're not used to hearing on the that news about the final play of a Friday practice. Was it just a freak thing? How did it happen?
Yeah, it was a freak thing, and it was unfortunate. He was going up to catch a ball. The receiver was going up to catch it. I don't think they saw each other, and came down hard. But it's very, very unfortunate. But we just want to make sure that we follow the protocols.
Yeah, Coach, along the lines of finishing off games, I was looking at the numbers this morning. In the fourth quarter, you guys are being outscored 105-52, and in the second half, 170-103. Your second quarter seems to be your best quarter offensively when it comes to scoring. I'm just wondering why that disparity, considering you go in the locker room, you have some time to take a deep breath, make some adjustments and whatnot. Just what's going on there in that second half?
Yeah, Daryl, we do have to be better. That's obvious, and that stat is that's a team stat. Offense, defense, special teams. We got to be better for all four quarters, and we're looking for that 60-minute game. And the adjustments that you make, they really happen within series, within quarters. It's not like you get in at halftime and you wholesale change things. You have really good discussions. You talk about where you're going, but really all those adjustments should be happening in the middle of the second quarter, in the middle of third quarter, and so on. So we do have to be better, and that's our focus. We have to finish.
And then all those changes you had to make because of your tight end shortage on Sunday. How much, now that you got that on tape and you've, as a coach, have gotten to look at how you performed, does that at all help you now going on a short week, getting ready for the Raiders in the event that you don't get those tight ends back in time again?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're doing now, Daryl, is seeing who might be available to us, and some of those are up in the air. So we have to plan accordingly, kind of have to have plan A, plan B, plan C type things based on who's available to you. But we got plenty of guys. We'll put a plan together. So these guys can go play fast.
I just wanted to follow up with something you said yesterday about pressures and how important those are. And I was just wondering how you guys kind of value those, in the building when you're evaluating game film and kind of what guys do.
Yeah, I think, I don't think we're different. I think the entire league values quarterback pressures and how you affect the quarterback, because such a small amount of those pressures turn into sacks, and sacks are great. Don't get me wrong. But we're really focusing on getting around that quarterback as much as we can, because you're going to affect him, meaning you're going to make him get off his first read, you're going to make him move in the pocket, cause an inaccuracy. So the focus can't solely be on sacks when you're talking about a defensive player's ability to affect the game.
And then just kind of along those lines, it looks like Tack had a really good day in that.
Back in 30.
A lot about him, and he forced that fumble too. So just what have you thought of Tack and then his game yesterday?
Yeah, he played really, really hard, Dan. Was relentless. Even on that play, he was on the opposite side of the field and chased the quarterback down when the quarterback pulled up to make somebody, to make a move on someone. So he plays with great effort. Really throws his body around there in the run game, giving great rushes on third down. So he was playing how we envisioned him to play yesterday. And now, as he's getting healthy, that's a big part of it as well.
You're up.
Boy, this is good stuff out of Coach there, kind of telling you where you are with everything. I just saw this tweet come across to us from Cleveland Wins at Cleveland_wins. And he has the video of JOK getting after Lamar. And the original tweet says JOK looks like a lion hunting a gazelle, which I just think is perfect. JOK hunts like a lion. Like that's it, man. He pounces. That's just a sensation. To see it from this angle, I was in and out yesterday, and to see him in this angle it's stunning the amount of ground the kid can cover.
And you see as he kind of comes through on that play when he gets in the middle, how low he gets. He gets so low, and Greg Newsome does this as well, and it allows them to explode in any direction. He has a full breakdown, and it allows him to kind of get there and get out, in this case, to his left, Lamar Jackson's right, and make that play. It really is he's an incredible player. And you think about Clowney on some of those good defenses, and he played with Brian Cushing, who was a very good, hard-nosed middle linebacker. So he's seen, at least Pro Bowl level linebacker play, but JOK is a different animal in the sense of his ability to go sideline to sideline, but its ability to break down. And that's what I talked to him about earlier. I think it was this week, maybe it was this week or last week, when I asked him about his basketball background, if that's what's allowed him to kind of
last week,
break down like that. And he said, hey, maybe, I don't know. But that's what watching him move, and Greg Newsome moves very similarly. They're so low and deep into their quads that they spring when they decide to actually go one way or the other.
Yeah, they do. I like that. JOK hunts like a lion. We got a lot of T-shirt companies. Put it on a T-shirt.
I do like that.
Yeah, that's very, very good. Want to tell you about my good friends at Raising Cane's. What do you get when you combine the best ingredients with the best crew? You get Raising Cane's quality chicken fingers meals made just for you. Join the crew ready to safely serve the community. Apply today at workatcanes.com or text RC Jobs to 97211. Standard message rates may apply. Raising Cane's, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Buckeyes. Joe Thomas Hour coming up in about 15 minutes from now. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. EOX Vantage has a local presence with a global footprint. It's trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. Here's a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Ed Scheel. He's the vice president at Skyward Specialty Insurance. He says, quote, "The tools we've designed with EOX Vantage are real business changers that open the door for us for all sorts of valuable opportunities and efficiencies. They help our team members stay on the same page while collaborating remotely, make it easy to communicate with customers, cut way down on manual data entry and the associated input errors, and cut hours off processes and response times. Operationally, it's a brand new ball game for us, and it can be for you too. Learn more about EOX Vantage by visiting www.eoxvantage.com or call 216-298-1616. A win is a sweet thing, and as you go around and you think of all of the things that needed to happen to be in the place that you currently reside, there's a lot of them, and it feels like every single box was checked. Everything that you needed to happen did. There are a couple of teams, obviously the Broncos, but you have a tiebreaker over them. They get to 7-6. But as you go around the league, the Bills dropping to 7-6. The Chargers get a little separation, but you didn't have a tiebreaker there anyway. You have a tiebreaker over the Bengals already in your hands. With 4 games to play, including one coming quick Saturday against a Las Vegas team that's in a lot of trouble, guys, if you're paying attention to their scores in the last few weeks. A lot of similar to what you saw this week with them against Kansas City. You have a chance here to build off of this, have incredible momentum, and put yourself in a very good position here to make a run at this thing. And I don't know if I would have had that going into the bye week.
No, it's all broken your way, and then you took care of your business, and you just think about the AFC North next week. You know, we get the Raiders at home on Saturday, 6-point favorites right now in Vegas. Then you go and you look at the Steelers. They're at home against the Titans coming off of a win. They are not favored in that game. The Bengals are on the road at Denver. Tough place to play late in the season.
Tough.
They are not favored in that game. And then the Ravens host the Packers. They are not favored in that game. We're the only team that's favored in the AFC North next week. That doesn't guarantee any outcome, obviously, but that's a good place to be if you're the Cleveland Browns. And, you know, you mentioned some of those other games. That Cincy-San Francisco game I got to watch the total conclusion of. Joe Burrow was so money down the stretch, and so was Jimmy G. He made big throws when they needed to, and then a great play call at the end by Kyle. They should have won it in regulation. Robbie Gould, that was his first miss in his last 22 field goal attempts in the fourth quarter to either tie or give a lead. Misses that, goes to OT. The Bengals get a field goal. The Niners go down and score a touchdown, which, and again, Kittle looked like he's fully back healthy again, but just big-time plays on both sides. The dime to Chase, both of them actually, to Chase at the end were ridiculous. Higgins.
And he had one called back in the first half for a touchdown to Chase that he threw a dime to.
And his coolness in the pocket. Like some of those on that last drive.
Under constant duress.
Like I thought the ball was going to get hit as he was throwing it.
Yeah, Bosa was on him the whole time. No, it was incredible. Zach Taylor didn't do himself any favors. He had called a really strange game. They were moving the ball down the field, throwing it, and they would go to the run game. He was trying for field goals at times when it didn't seem to make sense, kicking field goals on 4th and 1, stuff like that. He did not do himself any favors for the people in Cincinnati. He did us a lot of favors, and we're very, very thankful for it. But if you think about where this division is, and if you go back to the beginning of the year and we thought, well, this will be the second best division in football, I don't know that you can make that claim anymore, and a lot of that had to do with the injuries. Every team in this division has been just ravaged by injuries. Nobody more than the Ravens, and then us, obviously, have just been decimated from an injury standpoint. But while it maybe isn't the second best, it is what we thought it would be. The second thing we thought it would be, which is the most competitive. It's wide open with 4 weeks to play. This goes back to, and maybe it's just in my mind's eye, or maybe it's because I had the flu for 48 hours, but in my mind's eye, I remember like the late 80s, early 90s, and it was the Steelers, the Oilers, the Bengals, and the Browns all jumbled in that mix, you know, and it does feel like there is some of that going into this thing, and it's going to be who's got the guts here over the last month to get some wins, to grind out some wins. You feel like for us 3-1 and you're set. That does it. 10-7. I feel like you're walking on.
I think
water
you win the division. If the loss is to the
7.
Packers,
yeah, I
think you
if
win
the
the
loss
division.
is to Green Bay, you're in. Yeah. So that's what's in front of you, and everybody else is staring at the same thing. Cincinnati knows what they're staring at. You went through in terms of who all the teams in the division play next week, and we'll talk about this at length as the week goes along. But you are in as advantageous of a position as you can be in with 4 to play, considering all you've been through. And you've been through a lot from an injury standpoint, and there's obviously no end in sight as we have more injuries this week.
Yeah, and I mentioned, so that was 15. Week 16 when we play at Green Bay on Christmas. The Ravens play the Bengals in Cincy, so one must lose, but one must win. The Steelers are on the road at the Chiefs, who are playing as well as anybody in the National Football League right now. So this schedule for this division, then in Week 17, the Bengals, they get the Chiefs. We get the Steelers on Monday Night Football, and the Ravens get the Rams. I mean, you talk about if we go 2-1 the next 3 weeks, I don't think there's anybody else in our division that can go 2-1 the next 3 weeks.
No, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And I think 2-1 is – I think – I'll take it a step further. I think 2-1 for us is what is expected and what ought to happen.
Yes.
And I don't know that you could say that about the 3 other teams, if you would expect it and it ought to happen with the 3 other teams in our division. And 2-1 puts you in a pretty sweet place. That puts you at 9-7 going into Cincinnati here to close out the season. So it's all in front of you. It's in front of you in part because of what everybody else did, but it's in part of you because you had the guts to win at home on a Sunday when it didn't feel like it in the fourth quarter and it got a little dicey. Your defense stood up and you got a monster win. We've got Monday Night Football tonight. Sorry kids, just an hour out of Uncle Beau today. We got through the hour, so that's a bit of a win. Rams at Arizona tonight. Fun one on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it'll be a great game, I think. And you're looking at, can the Rams, who were boat raced by the Cardinals in the last meeting, show that fight, or do the Cardinals run away with that division here tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to go Cards in this one. I like the Cards in this one. It seems like any time I pick the Rams in a big one, they've gone the other way. So I'll go the Cards, 31-24. Arizona.
I'll take the Rams. Why not? I mean, I'm guessing.
How'd you do, by the way?
How did you do?
Well. Like 8-5 or 9-4, something like that.
Well, then I couldn't have done well.
Oh yeah, we picked a lot of
oppos.
Yeah, a lot of oppos. Yeah.
Hold on. All right.
Well,
actually, not terrible.
I think you're okay.
Yeah, I think I might be okay.
Yeah.
Buffalo hurt me. Buffalo had that, and they did.
Yeah. Well, so did the Patriots. Frankly,
they did me dirty. Yeah, but didn't they still? The Patriots still got it because it was a.
They did, but I couldn't believe it came to that.
Right.
I mean, it was crazy.
How about Brashad Perriman?
Walk off.
Brashad Perriman
just walked off. Brady's 700th. Crazy. All right, boys. The Joe Thomas Hour is coming up next. Z and the Hoff will guide you through that. We will be back. I'll be back tomorrow, but their show continues. It'll be a very good one. You won't want to change the channel at all because they're the best. It's the Hoff and the Z coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's time for the Joe Thomas Hour, presented by Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for your free case review. Elk & Elk's a proud partner of the Cleveland Browns. Hoff, 7-6, right in the mix are your Cleveland Browns, following that 24-22 win over the Ravens, one that looked for a time like it was going to be a blowout, but it ended up rather tense. And yet the Browns did what they needed to do. Just top level, quick thoughts from the win.
Well, we got the win, which obviously was the most important thing, keeping pace in the AFC playoff race. But some other teams are starting to cooperate with us, and I think we're building that momentum that we had all hoped we could use the bye week to do. Kevin was great last season coming out of the bye week with the different tweaks he did with the offense. I think you saw a lot of those on display at First Energy Stadium this past weekend. Defense continues to improve, and I don't know. I got to believe that this is a team that is poised to make a run here the last 4 games of the season and get themselves into the playoffs. And I think this year in the playoffs, just like last year, it was all about getting hot right when the playoffs started. That was what the key was for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to take it all the way to the Super Bowl, because there's so much parity in the NFL. Records don't really matter once you get to the playoffs. It's who's hot. It's who had to be under the microscope to get themselves better with that sense of urgency as the playoffs approach. I feel like the Browns are in great position.
Yeah, and I think one of the main reasons you feel that way is this defense and Joe Woods' crew, even without Ronnie Harrison, Greg Newsome, and Anthony Walker in this one. Another great performance. I mean, seemed like it was 3 and out after 3 and out. They score a touchdown. Takk McKinley forces another fumble late. They get the stand at the end of the game that you needed to secure the victory. This D, can the Browns ride this defense, Hoff, all the way to the playoffs?
Well, I think that's what Browns fans should be the most excited about, right? We kind of knew all the different pieces that were coming together this offseason that the Browns were bringing in through free agency and the draft. And you just never know when you're bringing in so many new pieces, especially some young pieces, how long it's going to take for them to kind of click, especially with a new scheme with Joe Woods. And I think it took them maybe a little bit longer than we expected, but now I think they're playing better on the high end than we even expected. And when your defense is playing at top shelf level right now here in December, that's a huge sign when you're fighting for that last playoff berth that you can win it. Because no matter who you're playing, they're going to come in with a high-flying offense down the stretch. And you got to be able to find a way to beat different offenses no matter who it is. Some teams are going to try to run the ball. Sometimes you're getting bad weather and you're going to need a stiff front that can stop the run. I'm going to try to air it out. And you got to be flexible. And I think that's exactly what Joe Woods has built with this defense. They can cover, they can rush the passer, and they can stop the run. So they're a defense that can do all the things that you need them to do down the stretch, and they're playing really well together. They're playing great team defense right now. So they got to be super pumped about the direction this defense is headed.
And what do you think about the guys up front, the 3 defensive ends in particular, all of them who made massive plays in this game, none bigger, you could say than Miles' extra fumble touchdown. Clowney's sack on the last drive was monstrous. Takk, with the forced fumble and was just flying around. As a former tackle, you think about those guys, and for an offensive line, when all 3 are out there together, what kind of challenges does that present?
Well, it makes you decide how you want to die, right? You want to die by Takk McKinley? You want to let him go one-on-one? You want to let Jadeveon Clowney try to go one-on-one against your tackle? No, and certainly you don't want to allow Myles Garrett any one-on-ones. That's kind of like the first thing that you cross off your list when you're looking at the game plan. But I just think it's really exciting to see all these guys on the field playing great football at the most important part of our season. And can we say this was Takk's best game as a Brown so far?
Yeah, I think so. Made some impactful plays, and he's had some sacks in other games, but it just felt like he was so disruptive around. And I thought he played well against the Ravens last time too.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it was not necessarily just the stats, but it just seemed like every time I was watching the defensive line, Takk was in there. He was making an impact, whether he was beating his block or he was forcing the quarterback to move in the pocket, or he was hitting the quarterback. Like the relentless nature with which he plays is something that all those guys around him feed off of. And it's fun to just kind of see what happens when an offense decides, hey, all right, we got to take care of Myles. we got to think about Jadeveon. And all of a sudden you get Tack one-on-one, and you see how disruptive he can be. And it's fun to kind of watch and see the vision that Andrew Berry had when he brought those guys in.
Yeah, Tack McKinley, this is according to Pro Football Focus in this game. Tack McKinley had 8 pressures on 28 pass rushes. They kind of give credit for sacks if they think somebody forced somebody to step up and into the sack. So they gave him credit for a sack in this game. 2 quarterback hits, 5 hurries, 8 total pressures. That was the most on the team. Clowney had 5, Myles Garrett 3. Of course, one of his was the biggest pressure, arguably, of the game there. So, yeah, the D playing great. And then offensively, I thought we saw a glimpse of what we can be. The short passing game, the quick passing game, some of those long handoffs working very efficiently. Baker Mayfield, decisive. The ball was coming out quick, and we had a couple of those nice touchdown drives there. Now in the second half, we'll talk about that. You got to keep it going. But I thought we got a glimpse of what this thing can be from a complementary football standpoint, and the offense really kind of clicking.
Yeah, I thought Baker played well in this game. He especially started really well, really efficiently. It looked like that bye week really did him a lot of good. It seemed like he was healthier than we've seen since he hurt that shoulder. There was that one throw to Jarvis where he was rolling out, and he was really able to finally kind of get some torque and really whip the football down the field with some accuracy and with some zip on it that we really haven't seen a whole lot of. So I think just for Baker, building the confidence back in his shoulder as he's getting healthier, as all those injuries are starting to heal up, that seemed to be really huge for them. And then just kind of finding that identity again, a little bit of who the Browns want to be. When they're at their best on offense, what are they? I think that was probably the big question that Kevin wanted to answer during the bye week. All right, what do I want to look like? Because we want to be at our best. We know we have to probably win 4 out of these last 5 games to get into the playoffs. It obviously starts in Baltimore, and they were saying, all right, we want to be smash mouth running team that runs a little bit of outside zone. We're going to run some of those pin pull concepts where we're getting guards and centers on the edges. We're going to get Kareem Hunt involved. We're going to get Nick Chubb involved. We're going to run a little bit downhill, and then we're going to run our screens, and we're going to run some special plays, some quick passes, take some shots off of play action, get Baker outside the pocket. Like, that is the symphony that we want to see playing all well together, and we saw a lot of that, especially in the first half.
We did, and that was what you need to carry forward and be able to stretch that out over the full 60 minutes. Part of that was this is the first game all year Baker Mayfield was not sacked, and in fact, he was not hit in this game, according to Pro Football Focus. 0 quarterback hits, 0 quarterback sacks. What did you make of the offensive line, and then James Hudson getting that start over there at right tackle?
They were awesome, and I was really excited for James because he showed marked improvement over the last time he was in a game. You didn't see the large number of penalties, the mental errors, those things that a lot of times rookies have a difficult time struggling with. So just his headiness, you can see the Bill Callahan is rubbing off on him, right? That time in the meeting room, the time with all those great players around him, it's rubbing off on him. And I think that's exciting for the Browns because obviously with Jack Conklin and the injuries, you don't know when, if he'll be able to come back next season. What that position is going to look like, and having a really good backup tackle that can step in there and give you long stretches as a starter, like hopefully James will be able to do, I think could be such an unbelievable weapon for this offensive line, which has been and still is, in my opinion, the best offensive line of football.
Yeah, and Hudson plays with a lot of passion. I don't know if it came across on the TV copy, but he would celebrate after a lot of the big plays on offense. You guys fired up out there.
Yeah, man, you love seeing that, right? Because most offensive linemen are kind of like, all right, I just need to do my job and waste as little energy as possible. As soon as it's over, help up anybody that I need to help up, and then get back to the huddle and start resting. But those youngsters, they got a little bit more spunk.
Little
you
zest.
love to see it because look, that zest for life, that zest for football, it rubs off on some of those guys, especially because those skill guys, they're used to getting up and celebrating and dancing around, doing their thing. But when they see an offensive lineman get a little excited, it gives them a little extra pep in their step.
It certainly does. And when you see those guys running, it gets there too. We'll talk about that ground game as we go on. We'll come back with some more of the Half Hour here on Cleveland Browns Daily. Don't forget, Ohio Business Machines is the preferred copy provider of the Cleveland Browns of all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Game balls and one thought on some of the big names on the Cleveland Browns coming up next with Joe Thomas. Gambling without setting limits on how much you're going to wager or how long you'll play is like a football team going into a game without a game plan. It's probably going to end up in a loss. So always set limits before you bet. Get more tips like this at keepitfunohio.com. Nathan Zegura, it's the Joe Thomas Hour here on Cleveland Browns Daily, joined by the Hoff. And Hoff, time to hand out some game balls. We'll start on the offensive side of the ball. Who gets your game ball in this one for the Browns?
I like Nick Chubb. I know he only had 3.5 yards, but I thought that the way he ran the football with aggression and with persistence really was a reflection of the style that the Browns want to be. I talked about who Kevin Stefanski wanted this team to be coming out of the bye week, what he wanted them to look like, and it was a physical rushing attack. I thought Nick ran very physically in that game, especially you get that early lead, so you know that they're going to be loading the box to try to force you to throw the football. I think Chubb did a great job getting back to a little bit of what made him great before he kind of stubbed his toe a little bit against the Ravens the first time.
And Nick Chubb ran very hard in this one. You mentioned 17 carries, 59 yards, long run of 15. I'm considering a couple people. I think you could give it to Donovan Peoples-Jones, 5 catches for 90 yards to lead the team, some big plays on the sides. I thought Austin Hooper, who played every single snap, did well. He had 5 catches, 30 yards, the touchdown. But I'm going to give it to Baker Mayfield. 2 touchdowns, efficient in the red zone. Both times that the Browns were down in the red zone, he got them into the end zone, and that ultimately proved to be the difference in this game. Touchdown to Jarvis, the touchdown to Austin Hooper as well. So there it is.
Yeah, definitely Baker deserves it. 2 for 2 on deep passes. One of the areas of the field that we all want to see some improvement is those shots down the field. He made them pay in this game, absolutely deserving of the game ball.
Yeah, and you think about, as you mentioned, the offensive shots. He was so good in that kind of quick, short game in this one. I mentioned that earlier on the show. In the short passing game, within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage, 19 of 22 for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. But then the shots over 20 yards in the air, 2 of 3 for 61 yards. So a couple of big-time throws as well from Pro Football Focus. So those were the plays that helps loosen things up, and we'll need to see more of that going forward. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. I'm pretty sure I know who's going to get your game ball, but let's hear it anyway, Hoff.
There was a few guys that deserved it, but I'm going to go in the secondary. Denzel Ward has been absolutely lights out. He was fantastic in this game as well, and I feel like as a big guy who wanted to mention some of the pass rushers because they were amazing.
Yes.
I'm gonna allow you to take one of them maybe and just talk how great Denzel Ward, especially with Greg Newsome not in the game, he came up huge being able to lock down one side of the field.
Now, I know Miles had the sack, strip fumble for the touchdown, which was a massive play. Clowney made the big sack, but I'm going to go Takk McKinley. 8 pressures, forced the fumble, was just so disruptive. And the headliners, they're going to get it more often than not. So right here, this is Takk. As you said earlier, you thought his best game as a Cleveland Brown, that relentless motor, that resilience that he showed, which some Kevin Stefanski talked about post-game that this team needed to have. And I thought that it was there in spades with Takk McKinley. So I thought a tremendous performance for him. Do you have a wild card? If you want to throw one out there, you can give anybody a game ball you want.
Anybody? Ooh.
Yeah, anybody.
I'm going to go our boy Dustin Cole. I know it seems like cheating a little bit not having Britton, but when you lose your punter to COVID, obviously there was a lot of panic. But Dustin did an incredible job stepping in. He was fantastic in the game, punting, coffin corners, pinning him inside the 20, deep bombs. He was a huge weapon in this game.
Yeah, he was, and he had one that could have been down at the 1 that was taken away, and it just had that kind of, he was going to get it down there inside the 20, and just savvy. You could see it, kind of some of those savvy balls that we used to see off the foot of his brother, Britton Cole. My wild card, I'm going to give it to Joe Woods. I thought, his defense was just tremendous again, down three pivotal players. Your leading tackler, Anthony Walker, Ronnie Harrison, who you use in your big nickel and your dime packages against this team, and who really has been your starting strong safety all year. Grant Delpit really stepped up in his absence in this one. And you were also without Greg Newsome, and yet I thought defensively you had a great game plan. You put it on them, and of course you had the one kind of miscommunication that led to a bust that Mark Andrews got on the fourth down, and I think that just kind of happened so fast. But all in all, to get the stop, have a great play call on the two-point conversion that's intercepted by Grant Delpit, and then at the end, to come with a zero blitz on 4th and 6 and make him get the ball out and let your best players make plays like Denzel Ward did. I love that aggression there. It would have been easy to try to sit back maybe and play coverage, but no. Let's go get after him. Let's not give him any running lanes, and let's make him throw the ball out quick, and if we tackle, we win, and the Browns did that. So I loved that aspect of it there from Joe Woods. So game ball to Joe Woods and that defensive staff as well. One thought. All right, one thought on each of the following. We'll start with the quarterback. We've talked about him a lot already, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I thought Baker played really well in this game. He had the one miscommunication with Jarvis that led to the interception. Another one that kind of got tipped around could have been intercepted, but other than those throws, I thought he was really, really good. He was focused. He was very decisive with his throws. He was accurate. He looked like he had more zip on the ball because it seems like having that bye week to kind of get a little bit healthy made a big difference for him. And it seemed like when he's playing well and he's got that confidence, there's a leadership that just permeates through that team that builds confidence in everybody because they understand, everybody in the NFL that's playing in the NFL realizes how important quarterback play is. When your quarterback's playing like that, it just boosts the confidence of everybody. And then, like you mentioned, the great call by Joe Woods by going zero and having confidence in his defense to be able to get the stop, confidence in his secondary. Like, I did the Thursday game this past week, Vikings-Steelers, and one of the things Mike Zimmer's been struggling with is he doesn't have confidence in his defense. That's why he's playing so soft, and they're losing all these games at the end. That's why you saw when they lost to the winless Lions, they were playing so soft. Instead of Mike Zimmer, he's known for being aggressive and blitzing. When you lose the confidence across the board, you lose the game by and large. And when you have confidence in that quarterback position, because he's playing like he was on Sunday, it permeates through that entire locker room, all the way up to the coaching staff and what they're doing on defense. And that's the type of confidence that builds a winning streak going into the playoffs. And once you get there, anything can happen. You heard it here first, Z.
That's right. Once you get in the dance,
let's go.
You never know. Let's dance, make romance. You never know what can happen out of that. What I loved about Baker's game this week was that from a clean pocket, 80% completions. Look, chaos is going to happen, and yes, you need to be able to make plays out of structure in the National Football League, but if you can be extremely efficient from a clean pocket behind a very good offensive line, you will make a lot of plays, and 80% completions from Baker, while kept clean in this one, I thought was very, very good against the Ravens, who are certainly a depleted secondary. We know that, but you have to take care of that business, and he did. Let's talk about Austin Hooper getting to play a role that he probably hasn't played since his days down in Hotlanta.
Love Austin Hooper. I mean, what an integral part of this passing game. What an incredible part of the running game. He's really turned into an awesome run blocker. He had 5 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown. And for the Browns offense, yeah, we talk about Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and how important their roles are, but there may not be a more versatile and important guy in this offense than Austin Hooper.
Yeah, and he's just reliable. When you need a catch, you need it in a big situation, he does it. Did a great job on that touchdown to sell the block, slip out, and get that touchdown catch. Played 100% of the snaps. James Hudson, you mentioned it. If you don't mind getting a little technical, where do you see the biggest improvement from him? 35 pass blocking snaps, only 2 pressures allowed. Did a great job, and as you said, light years ahead of where he was the last time we saw him at tackle.
Yeah, getting into the minutia a little bit, the thing that I thought he really struggled with the first time he had a chance to play was just getting off on the snap. I don't know if you guys saw the Generations piece on Thursday night with TJ Watt and JJ Watt, where they were breaking down film, they were running the clicker for each other, and they were talking about their pass rush. And the one thing that they talked about consistently was get off, because that's like 90% of winning on a pass rush set is who gets off the snap first. Is it that defensive lineman? Is he moving, or is it the offensive tackle? And as a young player, you don't understand how important that is because it's not a thing in college. Everybody sits around, they wait till the ball snapped, and then they move. In the NFL, everybody's anticipating the ball being snapped. So by the time your brain tells your body to move, now the ball is being snapped. But you're actually telling your brain to move before the ball starts moving. And that's something that takes a lot of guys time to figure out. And what happens is if you're a little bit late, now it screws up your technique because you feel you have to catch up to those guys because they're ahead of you. So now you're losing your technique, you're losing your ability to kick set, you're losing your ability to lengthen that pocket, keep width for your quarterback. And so I thought just him understanding how important the snap count was, which sounds rudimentary, but it is. It's knowing the snap count forward and back so that when you're sitting up there, you're not even thinking about it. You're able to just react. So you can think about the person that's rushing against you. You can think about the secondary and what they're doing and how that'll dictate the player that's across from you and what they can do. And I just thought that his big picture vision of what's happening and his understanding allowed him to get off the ball quickly and reliably, and it put him in great position to win his pass reps. Just like you said, what do you have? Two minuses
pressures
in pass protection,
yeah, 35
the entire
pass
game
snaps, 2 pressures
for a rookie.
Yeah, not
as
bad.
a tackle playing on island, unbelievable.
Not too shabby. Real quick on Jadeveon Clowney, brought here for a moment like the one he delivered on that final drive.
Yeah, he's been great all year long. I was so excited when the Browns brought him here this year. You know, some of the comments on the national level are, well, you know, he's not the player he used to be, doesn't get as many sacks. But that was never his game. Like, he was always the disruptive force. And that's why he was so exciting putting him in Joe Woods' defense for me, because you had Myles Garrett over there. And all you needed Jadeveon to do was to be disruptive, to draw some double teams, to screw up some things in the running game. And that's exactly what he's been in spades, and he's been able to be healthy. And I think he's a big reason why Myles, if he wins Defensive Player of the Year, wins it this season, and he hasn't in years past, is because now that you have that Robin to your Batman over there, it just makes both of those players better, and you're seeing it out there every week from Jadeveon.
And finally, a quick shout-out to JoJo Natson, one of the headiest plays I've ever seen in the NFL. Did you even know that that was a rule, Hoff?
I did. I loved it. You know, I was always the guy that loved, like, digging into, like, the silly skill strategy part of the NFL. You know, like the Bill Belichick type stuff. Once you're in your, like, 7th year and you kind of know what's going on and you're not really learning anything in meetings anymore, you start trying to listen to other stuff to keep yourself interested. That and doing crosswords. Those are the two most important things to keeping yourself awake in meetings. But like Mitchell Schwartz and I, we would listen to quarterback getting coached up and receivers, and we'd listen to the strategy because it was fun stuff. And so that was one of my favorite things in special teams, is listening to the kickoff return. And Chris Tabor would always say, hey, if the kickoff is rolling and it's near the out of bounds, get a foot out of bounds and touch the ball because it's a penalty. And they did exactly that. It was perfect. Shout out to Chris Tabor for doing that, the one-time head coach of the Chicago Bears. But it was perfect because I was sitting there watching the game with my son Jack, and he's 5, so he's asking me a question after every play. And he asked me, Dad, why'd he do that? And I was like, son, I'm so glad you asked. Let me explain. And of course, his eyes glassed over a little bit because it's kind of a second-level concept, but how smart of him. And I'm sure there was thousands of people at the stadium going, no, what did he do? What's going to happen? It's going to be out at the 3-yard line. And he said, no, 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 no. I am smarter than the rule book. And the Browns got the ball on the 40. What an incredibly heady play.
I was watching it unfold, and I can say that I did not know about that rule. I'd never seen it at any point in the NFL actually happen before.
Yeah.
But I'm watching this, and I'm like, oh, man, he got us down there, you know, the 3 or whatever. And as soon as Preef saw it, he starts skipping down the sideline, high-fiving everybody. So I'm like, something good has happened. I remember saying to him, I'm like, I don't know what it, but something – he's very pleased with what has just happened. And then sure enough, we got the ball on the 40. So you understood why he was so pleased. But JoJo Natson, got to give him a little shout out there. All right, when we come back here on the Joe Thomas Hour, we are going to go around the AFC North and around the league. Get the Hoff's thoughts on some of the action there in Week 14, a wild week once again in the National Football League. Rumpke Waste and Recycling is a family-owned and operated company. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you'll be a part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. The Joe Thomas Hour continues here on a Victory Monday, and we go around the AFC North. And boy, it was good. We won. Everybody else in the AFC North lost. It started Thursday night. You were there. The Vikings and the Steelers, and quite an offensive performance from Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, and the Vikings. Although it got close, they held on and got the win.
Yeah, it did. I was sitting there feeling pretty good about myself, comfortable with my feet kicked up in the green room, watching the Steelers getting dismantled by the Vikings. But then all of a sudden, the Vikings defense got too conservative, like we were talking before. Mike Zimmer, he got rid of 3 cornerbacks in the offseason and free agency that were really good players for him, and he wasn't able to replace them. It was a salary cap issue, but when you don't have that coverage in the back end, all of a sudden as a play caller, you get so nervous calling some of your aggressive blitzes, some of your zero stuff that makes you part of who you are. That's why you're dangerous, is you're unpredictable. You're willing to throw the kitchen sink at him. You're willing to back off and drop 8. But when you don't have that anymore, all of a sudden, when you have a good quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger, who was playing in a dome, so that elbow is probably feeling pretty good, unlike it's going to feel in the next 4 games when he has to go outside in the north in those cold environments. But he was feeling good. He was playing really well. He was dinking and dunking his way down the field, and he was just doing it over and over again. At one point, what was it, 29-0? And the Steelers came all the way back and had a chance right at the end of the game in the end zone. Freiermuth dropped, or
Harrison
play
Smith
was broken
knocked it
up,
out.
but
Yeah,
he
Harrison Smith
had his hands on it right in the end zone. He would have caught that. They would have had a chance to make a 2-point conversion to go into overtime, but thankfully the football gods for the Browns and the Vikings blessed us with an incomplete pass, and we all got to go home and celebrate a Steelers loss.
Yes, we did. We took care of business against the Ravens, and then the Niners and the Bengals in a wild overtime game where Burrow caught fire late. Garoppolo made huge throws for the 49ers. Kittle was one of the best players on the field. And frankly, there were a lot of great players on the field in this one. What did you make of that game and just that wild finish in the Niners? Kyle with a crazy play call to get Ayuk the touchdown at the end.
Yeah, it's the Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle show right now in San Francisco. And the 49ers are just a completely different team when George Kittle's on the field. Not only what he can do after he catches the football, which is remarkable, and one of the best catch-and-run tight ends in the NFL, but his ability to block on the edge, especially with Trent Williams, it totally changes their running game, which opens up their play-action pass. We've talked about it a lot with the Browns. This week, Baker was incredible out of the play action. I think he was 8 of 12, 2 touchdowns out of play action, which is a lot of play action for any team. And that happens not necessarily only just because you're running the ball well, but teams are afraid of you running the football. So even if you're not averaging 4 or 5 yards a carry, if teams are afraid of your ability to run the ball, that's what opens up. The fear opens up those holes in the second and third level where you're trying to hit those play action shots. And when George Kittle is out there, they have that fear of that edge running game because he is so good as a blocker by himself, but in combination with tight ends and tackles. He was fantastic. Burrow was really, really good again, the way he can throw guys open, the way he just has that aggressive mindset, which is something you don't see for young quarterbacks, not afraid to let it zip when he sees what he thinks he sees out there, and a lot of times he's seeing it the right way. A couple touchdown drives at the end of the game to put him right there. But yeah, if you back it up though, really the game was kind of lost on special teams for the Bengals. Thank you, Bengals. Punt returner. 2 muff punts they
back
lost.
to back.
That's not something you see. Back to back.
It was.
I mean, it was amazing. Let's go.
The commentator was saying, I think it was Archuleta was on the game, and he was saying that he couldn't think of. They were looking at their stat person look up when the last time a punt returner muffed and lost consecutive punts in a game, and they could not find another example of it. And yes, great for the Browns. We will take it, and the Niners certainly did the rest there. All right, let's go around the league now. More impressive performance yesterday. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or the comeback led by Josh Allen.
all of them obviously amazing. Josh Allen is sort of his own category because he's doing it as the running back and the quarterback. So, I kind of want to say Josh Allen because the reason that the Bills got back in that game is because all of a sudden they were like, oh, Josh Allen can run the ball too as the running back. So, all right, we'll just let him run the football. But really what Tom Brady is doing to me is the most impressive thing because you saw the defense was consistently dialing up the perfect coverage. And the Buffalo Bills have a great secondary.
Great secondary.
Like,
even without Tre'Davious
probably
White.
the best secondary. Yes,
Yeah.
it's probably the best secondary in football. And Brady is just slicing and dicing them with perfect throws. And we always talk about there is no defense for the perfect throw. And Brady's just showing us time and time again. He's doing it old school. There's not a lot of RPOs. Like, there's some trap passes and some, like, gimmick play actions in there. But it's not like he's rolling out. It's not like he's getting outside the pocket, extending plays. He's doing it like you'd watch a football robot on a computer game. Just stand back there. He sees the coverage. He knows where his progressions are, and he throws a perfect pass every single time exactly as his team needs. It's just amazing. It's boring, and I hate it because I hate Tom Brady. I'm tired of him winning so much, but it's amazing just watching the beautifulness that he plays the quarterback position with.
I mean, I think that's well said. It is simply stunning beautifulness, and I think one of the underrated stories of the season, at least in my opinion, is the absolute rebirth of Grunk. I mean, Rob Gronkowski was retired, folks. He was done. And in this one, 5 for 62, but he's had games within 100-yard games. He's had multiple touchdowns, and just the fact that he's back and playing at an elite level like that is kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about George Kittle, and certainly he deserves to be in the conversation with Travis Kelce. But, I mean, Gronk right now, it's not a stretch to say he's the best tight end in the NFL. And this is what, 2 years after he was sitting on a beach in Miami, completely retired? Like, I saw him at the Super Bowl in Miami 2 years ago, and I'm not lying. I feel like I could have kicked his ass with my right arm tied behind my back. He looked like he was about 190 pounds. He was wearing a tank top and flip-flops, and it looked like, I don't even think he looked in the direction of a weight room in the time that he was retired. I don't think he drank a protein shake or ate a man-sized steak the entire time. I'm pretty sure he was drinking Hurricanes and daiquiris the entire time, sleeping on the beach. And all of a sudden, he goes from that, and now he's the best tight end in the league 2 years later. It's an incredible transformation.
It really is a remarkable comeback there with Gronk and Leonard Fournette, who's resurrected his career there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, playing at a very, very high level. Godwin, Evans. I mean, they're a fun team to watch, and they can run the ball. It's not just all Brady, but Brady is, as you mentioned, just slicing and dicing, and it is surgical at times. See what he's going to do. Well, let's go to the AFC. Are the Chiefs the best team in the AFC once again?
I think they are, and it's not even really because of their offense right now. I know their offense is playing better. They're not turning the football over as much as they were. I think the first part of the season they were -10 in turnovers, and the last part of the season they're +10. So they're exactly even on the season right now in turnovers, but they're finally starting to just have the ball bounce their way. But really, the story is about their defense. Like, the way that Chris Jones is rushing the passer from the inside and how that's opening up everything else for what Steve Spagnuolo wants to do with that defense. He's allowed to blitz. He can bring creepers. He can drop out. And then having Tyrann Mathieu in the back end, being able to be kind of your sweeper and your eraser, that's exactly what you want to see from a defense. And so now I feel like it's taken some of the pressure off the Chiefs' offense where they don't feel like they have to score a touchdown right away on every single drive. And I think some of that patience and maybe dialing down on some of the risk in Patrick Mahomes' computer brain has really helped him because now he's more efficient. They're just kind of taking what the defense gives them a little bit more, and I think that's made him a better offense. They're not afraid to just call a run. Like before, it was the only time they were running the ball is if it was a mistake and they accidentally had an RPO and they handed it off because of what the defense was showing them. But now they're actually running the ball. They're calling a few runs in there. They're calling some short passes. And then, oh, by the way, we still have some guys on the outside that are pretty fast that can run behind you.
Yeah, a drubbing 48-9 of the Browns' next opponent, the Las Vegas Raiders, who really are going to be coming to First Energy Stadium. There's no other way to say it. They're reeling at this point. They are struggling, and they are not playing on a high level of football right now. And they're banged up as well. They haven't had Darren Waller either of the last 2 games, and if you're the Browns, you would hope that extends one more week there. And then the last one, this one from Gibbe, how do you bring back Urban Meyer if the stories coming out of Jacksonville are true? And now I feel like reporters are just being mean to him. They asked him today about a player who hasn't played and why his playing time's increasing, and Meyer said, yeah, he's getting more playing time. He's played exactly 0 snaps. So and now it just feels like, yeah, that happened today. So it feels like they're just being mean.
I like that, but you know, I think the moral of this story, and this is something that all NFL players and coaches should take a little bit of morality from. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. But anyways, I digress. The point is that if you treat the media like crap, which you have every right in the world to if you want to, just treat them like crap. They're going to remember that. And they are humans just like everybody else. And they're going to wait for that moment when it finally comes around and they have a chance to get back at you, and they will. So even if you don't like what they're saying all the time, it's probably a good idea to treat them with respect and dignity, because then they will want to treat you with respect and dignity when they could dunk on your grave. And what we're seeing right now is Urban Meyer, who maybe didn't treat the media all that well, and he didn't treat people all that well, and people have a chance to slam dunk on him, and they're throwing alley-oops. And unfortunately for him, it's not looking pretty in Jacksonville. I don't know how you bring him back after the laundry list of things that have gone on. And I don't know how he brings his assistant coaches back after the issues that they had this past week where he was calling them out, calling them losers, and making them defend their resumes. I mean, I guarantee all of them have defended their resumes with their agents to new organizations, because they ain't sticking around for another year of this, even if Urban Meyer does come back.
It really has become a stunning situation. It was one of those things you kind of saw. This is either going to go really, really well, or it is going to be maybe not so great, and probably the scales were tipped heavily in favor of the latter there, and that seems to be coming to a reality. And the guy that I worry about the most in all this is Trevor Lawrence, who it feels like a wasted season in the National Football League for that very talented young guy. Raiders coming to town Saturday at 4:30, Hoff. Does that really matter that you're playing on Saturday instead of Sunday? Is that a big change for the Browns?
I don't see it as a big change. The only reason it's not a big change is because basically what you do is you don't have a day off for all the regular players, and so usually your Tuesday is your day off. So Tuesday is just eliminated, and you work right through the week, and then usually what you'll get is you'll get Sunday off, then they'll come back to work Monday, and then Tuesday off, and they're back into a normal week. So it doesn't affect anything for the normal players. You're going to be sore on Saturday or Sunday, just about the same. When you're old, you're sore on Saturday and Sunday. When you're young, you feel great on Saturday and Sunday. So that really doesn't matter. The only big difference would be is if you're a player that's fighting an injury, that extra day a lot of times of rehab, being able to kind of get into the facility, get yourself a little healthier can make a difference, but it's the same for both teams. So I don't think that's much of a difference. For a fan, I think it's great playing on Saturday, especially that I think it's a 4:30 kick. I mean, that's a perfect time for a Saturday afternoon game in Cleveland. I'm so excited. I'm coming. Me, Willie McGinnis, Kay Adams, we're doing some pregame hits of the game on.
Oh, boy, stop the presses. The Hoff is coming to town. Let's go.
I buried the lead.
You did bury the lead. How's this the last thing we find out? Oh, man, way to go. Costanza, you're done for the day. You've left us on a high note. We can't. When are you coming in? This is going to be great.
So I'm actually flying the red eye from L.A. because I'm doing the L.A. game on, I think it's
Thursday night?
Chargers.
Chiefs Chargers,
Thursday.
you're right.
Huge
Big time.
Game.
Huge.
Yep, doing that one. Taking the red eye, getting into Cleveland Friday, and then doing the Saturday show because there's 2 games on Saturday. I don't know who the afternoon games. Oh no, it's Indy, New England. But I was lucky enough. They said, "Hey, you may know a few people in Cleveland. You can go there with Willie and Kay and tell us all about how the Browns are going to beat down the Las Vegas Raiders."
Yes, this is Christmas come early, folks. The Hoff is coming to town. Well, Hoff, appreciate the time as always. Always a pleasure, especially on a glorious Victory Monday.
Pleasure's all mine, Z. We will talk to you this weekend.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, we'll be back with our final thoughts, wrapping it up here on a Victory Monday. Your 7-6 Cleveland Browns alive and in the mix for the playoffs. Buying or selling a home with Howard Hanna Real Estate Services is always a winning strategy. If you plan to make a move this season, they've got you covered because at Howard Hanna, every day is game day. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. All right, some news from around the league real quickly on Lamar Jackson. According to Ian Rappaport, Ravens coach John Harbaugh told reporters that Lamar Jackson has, quote, an ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain. He indicates there are plans Jackson will be out there Sunday, but we will see where it goes. Big game, obviously, between the Ravens, who are reeling right now, and the Green Bay Packers, and one that for the Browns, you were going to be a Packers fan one week, and then you will go right back to not rooting for the Packers when the Browns go there on Christmas and take them on. A big win. We will dive more into this game again tomorrow. The Browns getting it done 24-22, sitting at 7-6, second in the AFC North, a game behind the Baltimore Ravens, and with a chance right now, if the Browns can get that win next week and the Ravens lose, they could be in first place here in this division and control their destiny. And so that's something certainly we are all hoping the Browns are able to do, and that will be against the Las Vegas Raiders. We will still have our normal schedule this week, but for the Browns, practice begins tomorrow as they get ready for the Raiders. They'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, off Friday, which is just the walkthrough, your normal Saturday game on Saturday at First Energy Stadium. Great job by the defense, and of course the offense had an excellent first half there, and then at the end, that defense stood up and got the Browns their big win, 24-22. The next level is next.